Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. It's good to be back with the committee, and I want to thank Ranking Member Hastings as well for holding this hearing on California's regulatory drought. Water users, farmers, and cities in California are facing an unprecedented water shortages, and devastating impacts are only growing. The most recent reports from the University of California indicate that a continued restriction in delta pumping will result in the loss of 37,000 California jobs and nearly $1 billion in lost income. The possibility of losing 37,000 jobs is particularly devastating in the San Joaquin Valley, where cities are facing from 15 to 17% unemployment and rural farm communities up to 40% unemployment. The real focus of this hearing should be the human impacts on this man-made drought and what it's having on farmers, communities, and the way of life in the San Joaquin Valley. I encourage the committee to travel to California and hold field hearings in the regions most affected to see what's at stake. I'm talking about communities like the city of Mendota, whose mayor, Robert Silva, was not allowed to testify at this hearing despite the drought's impact on the city's current unemployment rate of 40%. I want the members of this committee to speak with everyday people on the ground trying to feed their families and pay their bills after losing their farm jobs because of this drought. Simply put, entire towns are withering away. People like Mark Laura, a sixth grader, who wrote to me out of fear that his father, who has been farming for 30 years, will now have to sell the family farm because they will go bankrupt as they don't have water to grow their crops. In his letter, he begs, please give us the water that we need to grow food and hire people. I have with me a stack of hundreds of similar letters that I've received from constituents detailing their cry for help. The impact this drought is having on their lives, and support to pass my bill, H.R. 856, which is the California Drought Alleviation Act, which would allow the delta pumps to resume pumping vital water to the south. I will be submitting these letters for the record. California now finds itself in an exceptional position where the governor is threatening mandatory water rationing because of regulatory and judicial restrictions placed on the state and federal delta pumps. The State Water Project and the Central Valley Project were designed to consistently provide water to the Central Valley and Southern California by mitigating dry years through water storage. We now find ourselves in a position where the tools of storage and pumping during the wet seasons are no longer available due to restrictive regulations and judicial decisions to protect species. Here is where the actions of the federal government can make an impact. The federal government must stop passing laws and developing regulations that place the value of species above people. The statements we make through laws and regulations must convey the message that the lives of our constituents, their children, and their livelihoods are more valuable than a 3-inch economically inconsequential fish. Water recycling is not enough, and drought action teams may make nice press releases, but they will not provide the relief my constituents are crying out for. We cannot recycle our way out of a drought when there's no water to recycle. The solutions to this drought are clear. In the short term, we must turn the delta pumps back on and start pumping the water to the communities, water users, and the farmers who need it the most. There are two projects out there right now, the Two Gates project and the Red Bluff diversion, that if implemented within a year that qualify for stimulus money could allow the pumping of pumps to work. It's a short-term solution that if we all come together and make work on, we can have something installed that relieves California agriculture by June of this year. Now, I will say that current federal administrators that have jurisdiction over this project and state administrators have the strategy this way for solving the long-term problems in California, and that is to wait till it gets so severe that people in urban areas, Metropolitan Water District, Southern California Bay Area, will not be able to get water out of their faucets once it turns on. That's when finally California will invest in the infrastructure for a peripheral canal and additional water storage, and they'll be able to do it because they'll have the support of the public. Guess what disappears by the time that happens? California agriculture. You're going to wipe a $60 billion industry in the state of California off the map before the state finally gets around to solving this problem, because urban water users are not going to be able to get any water. There's an interim solution that will save California agriculture in the meantime. It's called the Two Gates Project for the Delta Smelt, and it's called the Red Bluff Diversion for the salmon on whom a biological opinion will be levied this June. They both are shovel-ready. They both qualify for stimulus money. All it takes is expediting permits through our federal and state employees to get these projects on the go. So if you cannot say something can't be done to solve this problem. The answers are out there, and by God, I am not going to stand by and let you destroy California agriculture before before the state finally gets around to a solution that's been overdue for 40 years. Sorry, I went off the page a little bit. I'd ask unanimous consent that the rest of my testimony be put for the record, but I will close by saying, ladies and gentlemen, the draconian regulations that turn simple fish into worshipful gods of the environmental community and ignore the inalienable rights of people have led us to conclude that government just doesn't work for us anymore. We need to return to a government that protects the safety and the happiness of people, not fish. And I appreciate this opportunity to testify before you today.